Hello, welcome to this week's episode of What One Thing, One Business, One Lesson every week. I'm Hayley Baxter and I'm here with my co-host Phil Davenport, who actually we're going to be interviewing today. So, Phil, take us back to before your business and tell us a little bit about you and your journey to where you are today.
Okay, brilliant. So I will give you a very cut down version of my life story. So I was working at BT Yahoo. I was a manager of a small team. I'd only been in the job a couple of months, if that, and we were given redundancy notice. At the same time, my daughter was about to be born. So I was actually made redundant a week before my daughter was born, which worked out quite well because it meant that I got to spend those first couple of weeks with her. I realised that I was really struggling to get a decent job, something that I wanted to do with my experience. And so I took a job doing debt management at Royal Bank of Scotland. Every day on the bus, I say every day, most days on the bus, I would be reading a CompTIA A+ book, learning about IT, because that was the way I wanted to head. After a year there, I managed to move into the IT department. I then found that very monotonous because we didn't have a lot of access to systems. So I moved to a small MSP who then got bought out. And then we started doing really weird things like taking serial numbers for TV repairs. So I then moved from there to working in the council IT. That was too far from home and I wasn't spending enough time with my daughter. I then moved into a project management job because I thought I need some extra cash. I did project management really close to home, high pressure, moved to another project manager job for more money, which almost kind of destroyed me because I was taking calls early in the morning. I was doing something that I didn't feel was naturally brilliant for me. My wife got a job, I took a pay cut, moved to an MSP. When I say MSP, I mean managed service provider. So we look after the IT for a number of small businesses. I worked there for probably 3-4 years, moved up the ranks. I would describe myself as the lead tech, but some of the other techs might have said that they had that role. And then from there, I moved to start my own business.
That's a bit of an interesting journey, lots of different skills picked up along the way. So tell us about your first client, how you came about having your first client or getting your first client.
Okay, so I'd made my employer aware that I wanted to leave. They'd come up with an extra pay pack and extra things, and I'd said, okay, we'll stay for another year. About 7 or 8 months into that year, I was actually out at a client site. And they approached me to say, look, we'd like to poach you effectively. We'd like to work for us. It was a long distance travel every day. I'd got a young family. I said, look, it's not something I want to do, but if I started my own company, would you look to come on board with us? They said yes. And kind of the idea of starting my own firm then was there. I wasn't happy in my role, and I wasn't happy because I didn't think we were providing value and we were improving customers and we were pushing for their best interest. Felt like we were just stagnating, and I think that feedback from the customer equated to the same. So it was from there that we got our first client. So when I started Affirm IT, we effectively started up with one business in the bank to start off with, which, let's be honest, is terrible as a business owner when one of your lead techs leaves and takes one of the big customers with them, and is also the flipping same thing that we see almost every single new managed service provider starts up. And a lot, if I'm honest with you, in our business, a lot of business owners who leave wait till the end of their non-compete clause and then start a new IT business and bring back all those clients.
So it's quite ballsy though to go from a secure job to take it, even though you had a customer in the bag, which a lot of new businesses don't have. But when you've got that young family at home that you've got to support, that's quite a big move, that, isn't it?
Yeah, I don't think my risk management was that hot on the whole thing. So what I did have was a credit card with £250 balance. I did start off with a business partner, and we were actually doing a different business and we were going to work together. But I didn't like that model. I didn't find it worked for me. It wasn't easy to, we call it blurred lines in our business, but it was very blurry as to who did what and who was doing what and things like that. So I don't think I really thought through what would happen with failure when I started Affirm IT. I just always viewed that it was going to be a success and I was going to grind it out as success. And if I'm honest, the IT industry has always been thriving when I've been in it. And I've always had qualifications, drive, and I'm quite well spoken. So I was confident that even if Affirm IT toppled, I would be able to help those customers, and I'd probably join another managed service provider and say, look, hands up, I had a go at it myself, I couldn't do it, but I've got these fantastic customers that I'd like to bring with me, and I'd be able to get a new role pretty easily.
Yeah, it's a great mindset to have, I think, in business, because you never know what's going to happen. So going back to that first year in business, what would be some of the biggest lessons that you learned?
So certainly early on, one of the great decisions that I made was bringing Ronan on board, who's an apprentice at the time, but has stayed with us throughout the whole business. I brought him on, and this is something a lot of people talk about now, because he was culturally a brilliant fit, even though he maybe didn't have the technical skills that I was looking for. And he's stayed with the business and he's a massive asset to the business, but our customers absolutely love him. So I think bringing on an employee pretty early, especially as an apprentice, was a good decision, because if you have a sick day, if you have a family event, if you want to have a day off, and also I think contingency planning for how are you going to have a holiday in 3 years if you never bring on another staff member, especially in a business like ours where we're both proactive in trying to do things before they happen, and reactive is in, your printer's not working, you want to phone up and not hear that Phil's on holiday in Spain for 2 weeks and he'll call you back when he gets off the beach.
So taking on your first employee in the first year is quite a big move. In lots of businesses, taking on that first employee is a really big step. And I think many business owners put that off. What was the decision process that you made?
In truth, and again, maybe like starting the business with not a blatant disregard of risk, but a knowledge of the risk. I knew that if I was working on a project or if I was out on site, I needed somebody to be able to answer the phone. I didn't like the idea of a virtual receptionist, because then I've still got that workload. Say it's a password reset or something easy. People want to be able to just phone up, get that password reset and move on with their life. So I wanted an employee. Bringing an apprentice on, if I'm honest with you, was very cost effective. And I'd known Ronan for years and years and years. I knew that he was solid, loyal, and that he would be respectful, and that he would be diligent in his job. So for me, I already had the cash flow to do it. It was a pretty simple decision.
And the decision between taking on an employee versus using a subcontractor at that point in time?
Okay, yeah. So I don't think that you can bring on a subcontractor at that point in time. I mean, I could have hired a firm to do that, so to take calls over from me. I probably could have gone out and found somebody. I don't think there was as much opportunity to do that at the time. I think it would have had complications regards NDAs, regards, just
It's a very customer facing role, isn't it?
yeah, and also they need access to the back end of the customer systems.
Yeah. Yeah.
And on top of that, and one of the things that we're finding now as we've got a backup team. So if I've got two techs who answer the phone, but if that doesn't work, we've got a backup team. You need to have all your documentation and your systems in place. And so I'd have been probably doing more work getting that done, which maybe would have been the right decision, as opposed to going out there and actually doing projects that were making us money or trying to find new clients.
So it's always that balance at the beginning, isn't it? So roll forward now. How long has your business been established for?
So we started in 2017. We're
Okay.
now 2025, so we're 8 years in business.
Fantastic. What does your day-to-day look like now?
So recently, in the past few weeks, I've started time blocking. I find that a really useful way to do it. So I will either time block in projects, time with the guys to talk them through how their day's going. We generally start off around 9 a.m., 10-minute takeover, where myself, Carl, Ronan will have a chat about what we've got on, what's happened the previous day, anything the rest of the team needs to know about. Sometimes we'll be working from home, sometimes we'll be remote, sometimes we'll be in the office. But I feel that's a really key way to start the day.
And I totally agree with that, because from speaking with you, have introduced that into my business and my team really love it. So that is a really good thing to do.
Yeah, I think the 10-minute takeover is a fantastic idea for whatever your business is, regardless of size. Yes, you'll maybe miss phone calls for 10 minutes, but either get an overflow or do whatever, because it's so important to have that cohesion at the start of the day. Once we've done that, it can be absolutely varied. So I might be at a networking event. I might be doing some cold calls. I might have a first-time appointment to go and see a potential new client. I might be going out and seeing a client who's existing to just go and have a chat, or almost shoot the breeze sometimes, if I'm honest with you, see how their IT systems are, check that they're happy, check that everything's working as expected. Or I could be having a meeting with someone like yourself. Hayley does my bookkeeping, which is fantastic. Or I've got somebody who helps me out with LinkedIn, somebody who helps me out with our KitKat and marketing. So depending on what day it is, can be really varied and mixed bag for me.
So explain a little bit about what the KitKat is.
Oh, everybody loves the Kit Kat campaign, don't they? So the Kit Kat campaign, really simple. I went in to see one of my favourite business owners, and he's the finance director of a big company, and he was sat there chewing, I can't remember what chocolate bar it was, and reading a brochure. And I said to him, "What are you doing?" And he said, "Oh, they sent me a chocolate bar." And I suddenly realised what a great reciprocal deal it is that if you post somebody out a chocolate bar and ask them to read a bit of bump, then it's a fair deal, isn't it? You know, what do we receive in the post these days? Generally nothing or very little. So if you get a chocolate bar, it is a bit of a treat, and it is something that you've not seen before, and it gets the business name out there.
It's a really intuitive idea, I think. So we'll see how that goes. So 8 years in business, successful business. What's one thing you'd do differently?
I think from the start, we should have brought on a business coach. I think that's one thing that I would have looked at doing now. I think it's tricky at the same time to get some coaching and some structure early on, but I think that would be something that I would do early, is look to engage with a business coach.
Yeah. And I think it does really help, because especially if you've never run a business before, there are so many different avenues to go down, and there's a world out there that's just telling you what to do as well. So having somebody that just focuses you, actually, I agree, I think it's really, really helpful. So this is the What One Thing podcast. So most businesses are trying to grow or to improve or to do better. So what would be the one thing that you would advise or suggest, or one thing that's helped you?
The one thing that's been pivotal to our business in the past year and a half, and has really rocketed us, is joining a group called True Peer, which is specifically for managed service providers. But we were talking before the podcast, we were talking about doing the Couch to 5K. So you can do Couch to 5K on your own. You can put the headphones in and do the little coaching and go running. It's very hard with that to have accountability. It's very hard to know if other people are going through the same pains as you, if they're going at the same progress as you, if you're doing the right thing, if you've got the right trainers, etc. And the peer group has been fundamental for me. So it's a double whammy, if you will. So we've got a business focus and a plan and kind of a set way to do things, but we've also got a peer group. And being in that peer group means that you've got people to bounce off. They're all business owners. They are all genuinely there to help their own business grow and to help each other's business grow. I probably speak to them daily. We have a fortnightly meeting. We meet in person once a quarter. And it's so brilliant to be able to go into the group and you think something's not possible. You know, I can't tell the guys to do things these ways because they're really going to object to it. They're not going to like it. It's not going to work for this. And you sit there and somebody will sit there opposite the table and they will tell you that they've done it and it was successful. And they overcame those objections this way. And you really, for me, I'm super competitive, but I feel humbled. And I think, okay, they're ahead of me. I need to do that. And also we'll spring ideas against each other. So it's a coaching element, which is fantastic, and a framework, much like Couch to 5K. And it's also joining that running club at the same time so that you're going through that framework with other people. Maybe they're ahead of you, maybe they've just started, but because they're on that same journey, they want the same goals. And I think the biggest lesson we all learn in business is that there's so much out there for us all. You know, we don't need to be in this little kind of small island mentality. We can talk to who we might see as our competitors, and actually we can collaborate. We've got an IT firm 200 yards down the road, and I've never been to a presentation and seen them there. And, you know, but when I've been out, I can't say it actually because they're too close. When I've spoken to them, they felt quite closed off. Whereas, as you know, I'm a bit of an open book.
Collaboration over competition every time.
Definitely.
Thank you very much. Shameless plug.
We are looking for businesses that have got 10 plus employees. We work with IT managers as well, because let's be honest, when the hell does an IT manager get a holiday? You know, you're probably working them into the ground. They're probably working on your business systems. You've asked them to flip into a long-term business plan for you. And you're also telling them they need to fix the printer really quickly because you need to get a project out. So we work when you've got an IT manager, or we can be that IT manager, that full holistic approach for you, and look to actually drive your business forward using IT and help you to make some money. Because let's be honest, we're all in this game for the money, aren't we? So that's ourselves. You can meet me. I'm on LinkedIn, Phil Davenport, or feel free to follow the business. We're Affirm IT Services Limited.
Thank you very much. And that is the end of this week's What's One Thing.